Big Brain Time debate podcast. And today, I will fight two individuals who are smarter than me on an issue I don't believe in.
We are fighting about the Oxford comma. The Oxford comma, for those who don't know, is the comma that comes before an and when you're listing something in a sentence. So, for example, it would be Ira, comma, Seth, comma, and Jared. It's that comma before and.
Yeah.
Without the Oxford comma, it would just be Ira, comma, Seth, and Jared, which doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever.
No, we're not a package deal. It also makes it sound like it's a company, right? We buy rings from Seth and Jared.
You guys sell rings now?
We were about to watch Lord of the Rings, but then they took it off Netflix, so... Sad state of affairs.
That's why Hulu's better.
Oh, throwing some shade at Netflix over here.
I have them both, but Hulu's better.
You can still watch it.
I guess if the show gets big, Netflix will never be a sponsor unless maybe Hulu will.
Oh, right. So, I'm going to start this by saying the Oxford comma takes up extra ink, which costs extra money.
Gee, who gave you that argument?
You, sir, my good sir. What are you, some kind of traitor? Against your own Oxford comma side, arming the enemy with arguments.
Hey,
But I mean, considering how weak an argument it is, maybe he's just giving you like an empty rifle or a rifle that doesn't shoot.
It's like a little Nerf gun.
Yeah, it's a Nerf gun in the place of an AK-47.
So, I'm a journalist. I'm a writer. I write for our school magazine, and the purpose of the Oxford comma, the reason that they don't have the Oxford comma in APA format, which is what journalists use, is because in professional writing settings is because they want to save as much ink as they possibly can. Thereby, there's no good linguistic reason for you to not have the Oxford comma. It's merely to save money. And so that goes against some of my beliefs in saying that money goes before everything, because I think that money should not be quite as strong of a factor in a lot of things. And I think that to sacrifice proper language for money is wrong.
But what about the starving journalist and their starving journalist children running around with their notepads, asking random strangers, hey, what do you think about the shortage of chalk in this neighborhood? Sidewalk chalk's pretty important to our local neighborhood economy. What about the journalist children, Jared?
The Oxford comma, adding those little commas isn't going to add up to be that much more of a difference in journalist salaries. Journalists are already getting laid off as it is because no one's buying print newspapers anymore.
Honestly, I don't even think that. Even if you somehow were able to calculate how much ink an Oxford comma uses, which I'm sure you can, but it probably would barely even add up to a few pennies in a long-term sense. Therefore, like, number one, how often do you actually have to use the Oxford, or do you use the Oxford comma in writing? Like, Jared, do you know?
If we don't even use it that often, should we even care about it?
If it helps make a point clearer in a sentence, then yes, it should.
Are you looking up actual outside evidence?
I'm looking up evidence here.
Well, while you're using
like
logos,
you could buy
I'm using the ethos of the starving journalist children.
Like you can buy a pen that is loaded up with ink for around $1 or $2. So exactly.
Who's your pen guy? I've been paying $5 a pop.
What kind of pens are you guys using?
It says Staples on the side. I get them from a back alley.
I question the kind of ink that your pens have.
That's why it runs out in like a minute. Oh, I see. Okay, so it turns out I've been conned for numerous years over my pen buying habits.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the time you get it in packs, so that's why it will probably cost more than a few bucks. But, you know, you go to, say, Dollar Tree, you can still get like a pack of pens. Maybe not the most best quality pens, but still a bunch of pens for around $1.
My pen dealer told me that was illegal. They still sell them in stores?
you need to stop listening to your pen dealer and go into the school supply section of literally any store that sells more than food.
Oh. But
What
what
are
if
you
I
guys
write
talking
with
about?
food?
I thought we were talking about Oxford commas.
Yeah, but then he started mentioning that he gets his pens from a secondhand dealer.
That's a fallacy, my dude. We're back on Oxford commas.
Alright,
I
so
believe it's a red herring fallacy, by the way.
now you said that money should not influence it. But, my good sir. And there would be a few commas in that sentence. But, my good sir. Have you considered that commas are... Oh, no, sorry, that's not where I was going with this. I was going to say commas are quite annoying. They lead to things like run-on sentences. How many things would you impossibly try to list with all those commas? Do you really need another with that Oxford comma?
Well, getting rid of the Oxford comma, you can still have run-on sentences. Getting rid of the Oxford comma doesn't mean you're getting rid of all commas whatsoever. You can have run-on sentences in APA style.
I really hope that you get too confused by my stupidity to form a coherent counter-argument, but that didn't work. So, I will go back to what I was going to say initially.
Also, I'd like to say this too.
Yes.
Sometimes I've read stuff without the Oxford comma in it, and it actually throws me off because it is not clear, it is not concise, it is not organized because there is no Oxford comma.
Now, in terms of saving money, you said that money maybe shouldn't be influencing proper linguistics, but how often do these external issues end up influencing language? And is that truly a bad thing? Consider the GIF. Does the GIF actually degrade our language, or is it a new supplement? The evolution of language is a natural response to our technologies and needs of the day.
Yes, you are right about that. Language influences.
It's influenced by.
It's
like it's
influenced
there's
by.
difference.
It's influenced by that. However, language is also how universally sharing languages is also. I guess I should say universally shared understanding of our language helps us to communicate better these ideas together. So, yes, there will be some things that adapt. So you learn things like GIF, or for people who are wrong, GIF. And
Or
so you
from the
develop,
Old English,
so you adapt new language. However, the grammar of those sentences, that in forms of structure that we've used for hundreds of years, should not be shaped. So, you can add new language through things like, you learn what, you're adding new words like when they invented computers, now you've got computers, and that word has a different meaning to it now. So that's a form of changing language, which I understand that. But the Oxford comma should not be one of those things that should be changing and adapting. So it's just how we write. It is just a structure, it is a type of grammar that we use.
It helps provide clarity.
You're dealing with a former English major, my dude.
Yeah, I know. But why wasn't language important enough for you to stay there, sir?
Because I wanted to be a journalist, and studying novels wasn't going to get me there quite as well. But I do have a very strong understanding of language and how it works.
Do you think your children are going to want to waste all their ink on Oxford commas? Your little journalist babies.
Seth, let me show you just how much effort goes into making an extra comma.
A tiny little slashy dot
yeah.
on your paper that has a little to no consequence.
Audience, you didn't see that. Jared held out his finger and moved it down to represent the writing of a comma.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's one without the little dot at the top. The little circle. So you're really you used less ink for your demonstration that they would realistically use in newspapers.
And let's...
Sorry, Seth. Okay, let me redo that demonstration here.
That looked like quite a bit of ink wasted, my good sir.
I don't think that.
Here's what he did. He drew a little circle in the air and then moved his finger down.
I mean, how many people actually draw out the proper comma form in writing? Because I tried early in my childhood, but then I realized, oh yeah, putting a tiny slash is so much easier because writing out the whole thing is stupid.
No, the problem with that though is that a computer will do proper commas, so you have that. But even then, commas, adding an extra comma. If you're writing a whole 5-page article on some news story, adding a couple commas, adding a few Oxford commas here and there, isn't gonna add up to being that much difference. I mean, it's gonna be a difference of a few cents probably.
Gentlemen, I've had a revelation.
Oh no.
I know what the real problem here is. He already talked about it in terms of the formalization of our language, forcing us into conformity, wasting our ink on stupid things like Oxford commas. Audience, I am speaking of the computer today. You see, here's the thing, computers require these stupid circles on the Oxford commas, and they make it so that everybody in the world sees your errors, your supposed errors when you write on the Reddit or the tweet. That is the issue here, gentlemen. Computers are making us conform to rules that are unnecessary and put journalists out of work.
I don't think that that's exactly how it works.
And we should throw all computers into the ocean, including the one I'm recording on now.
I was about to say that how are people going to listen to your message if you encourage them to throw all their computers into the ocean?
You see, I will write it pen and quill, post it on everyone's door throughout my entire life, like
You gonna hammer out on the
Luther's
church
thesis.
like Martin Luther's?
Yeah, Martin Luther.
I was thinking thesis in my head.
He may be Martin Luther, but I shall be Martin Luthus, the new purveyor of Ludditism. Luddites.
You know there are plenty of Amish where I live, or where I used to live, that I can talk to, that you can maybe join up with if you feel so inclined.
How do you think they feel about the Oxford comma? Stupid, big, academic Oxford, leaning in and trying to dictate their writings.
I don't know. I don't think they care.
Well, it's about the 12-minute mark. What other inane arguments can I come up with against a very good grammatical
Unless of course the use of the Oxford comma in the Bible just makes things clearer in that sense, then they might care about that.
The clarity argument is really good.
Because
Sure,
that's why it exists.
You read stuff haven't you ever read stuff without the Oxford comma throws you off for a couple of seconds?
It's quite annoying, yes, you are correct. But I need to keep up this character of the contrarian for the podcast. This is for you, dear audience, and I suffer.
Honestly, I'm not even sure why the Oxford comma debate exists. I hear about it in passing on the sidelines, and I unknowingly used the Oxford comma for the most part until I learned what it was. Just because it felt better and made things more clear.
Yeah, I already. Okay.
People think it's a double use of the word "and."
I think we are getting further and further away from the true purpose of language. I'm staring directly at Jerry because I know he's more likely to crack under the pressure. What direction will
this is
he
gonna make
crack?
me crack? You don't know what I've been through, my dude.
Alright, Ira. Isn't language to help us communicate? To bring us together? I'm trying to get a staring contest while saying this, it's not working.
Seth, you're the weakest in here.
Yeah, I know. So...
I'm the best at staring contests, so don't even try me.
This is not
I'm
the time.
trying him.
Seth, what's your argument?
So, if language is to bring us together, what's the deal with these Oxford commas? Separating things.